Just when I truly began to feel afraid, I blinked several times and looked up. The red glow was gone, and the running water and music sounded normal. Still laying on my stomach, I lifted my head. With a huge gulp of air, Lena was massaging Kilday, and they both looked over at me. "Welcome back. You fell asleep," said Lena. "Go somewhere nice?" I didn't know how to respond. "Just what we needed, huh?" Kilday mustered, almost too relaxed to talk. Lena walked over to me. "Kilday says he's all finished. Shall I keep going with you, Aubrey?" "No," I shouted, startling even myself. Lena smiled and didn't seem bothered. I took another breath. "I just mean I'm not used to this. I don't do massages much. It's all I can take for now." Kilday cleared his throat. "Want to go to the sauna?" "You have a choice," Lena explained. Sauna means a dry sauna, as in dry heat from the heat rocks. Or you can choose the steam room, which is heated by boiling water to create steam. Kilday looked at me, eyes half opened, like he was the most content man in the world. Steam room, then. I had no preference. I stood up, but my muscles and joints were so sore I had to steady myself from falling. "It'll go away in a few minutes," said Lena. "Don't worry." I kept my robe on until we entered the steam room. Kilday didn't. He walked right in with his army green balloon bob board shorts. Lena turned the steam on and left us alone. I took off the robe, hung it outside, and closed the steam room door. I haven't been in the gym much lately. Too much 6-hour work weeks, I said to him. "Don't worry, I don't know why I was so self-conscious. I was in relatively good shape and certainly far more fit than he was." "You're perfect," he said. He didn't take his eyes off me. I realized I didn't mind. We did it in the steam room. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I debated relatively it differently on here from fear of how it would reflect on me, but this part was important. Our lips and bodies touched, and the steam grew thicker and thicker. Kilday was strong, central, and never violent. At the point he got me to the wooden bench, he found just the right buttons to push. He asked me questions as we made love, about guests and Amasha, about my staff and corporate, which one I hated, and what I wished I could do for them. It was like if he had found my inner darkness and fed it to our bodies, moved in rhythm. I don't remember exactly what I said. My thoughts came steam to consciousness. I felt completely out of my body. I only remember his last question. "Does anyone hate you?" he asked. "Probably," I said without considering it. We stopped after that. I was absolutely spent. We sat across the steam room from each other. I was dehydrated, but too tired to get up just yet. Then I noticed something. Kilday was just sitting there, his elbow on his knee, staring at me with a obnoxious smile on his face. He didn't look quite real. Like he wasn't him, but rather a wax figure of him that had taken his place. After a moment, the smile didn't seem obnoxious anymore. It became creepy, unsettling. The uncanny valley. The steam grew thicker until I could no longer see him at all. Instead, I saw something else. 2 sharp ends of a round shape almost coming together near the ceiling. Horns in a circle, I remembered. Despite the soaring temperature, my skin suddenly felt ice cold. Then I saw more. Piece of a thin flesh membrane clinging to a human-like skull. The horns sprouted from the top of it. Inside the eye socket were flowing eyeballs with pupils, fully despite and vax on me. I wanted to run, but feared movement of any kind would trigger it. I saw the raw muscle tissue of its shoulder, and then even as I stayed still, it moved on me. It was like it floated its entire presence across the room towards me at the arrogant slow rate. I was in disbelief. I had already let it get to me close by the time I realized what was happening. I couldn't escape now. I had missed my chance. I turtled up the bench and braced for whatever horrors were to come. The door opened, steam blew out of the cool air conditioning, swept through. Aubrey? Aubrey? What's wrong? You okay? The voice was Kilday's. He came in and pulled me out of the steam room. Lena was right there and immediately helped me over to a chair. She brought me a bottle of cold water. I immediately started guzzling it. Did you pass out? Lena asked. I don't know. I thought you were in there, I said to Kilday. I was, he replied, concerned. I said I was getting out and needed water. Your eyes were closed. You nodded and stayed in. Lena held a chilled towel to my forehead. I told you not to stay longer than 20 minutes. You stayed 45. I need more water, I said to her. I'll be back. She hurried into the bag. I looked up at Kilday. Did we do it? He finished. So, it was real. Real, he said, stroking his goatee. I decided against telling him I saw the tall, eerie figure and horns there. I needed to figure out what was happening for myself first. Lena returned with more bottles of water. What time is it? I asked. After a drink. Almost 4 o'clock, she said. I popped up from the chair. Shit. I told Robert I'd only be gone for an hour. I dried off and got dressed as quickly as I could. Robert would be off by now. I felt guilty. I was letting my employee down by not being there for them. Something could have come up at the front desk that required my help. It had only been an extra 45 minutes. But knowing it was so I could bang a wealthy diamond member in a steam room made the guilt a lot worse. I think I was also eager to focus on something normal. My hair was still wet when I got back to the lobby. Robert had gone home and Ned had come in, but I couldn't ask him about the symbol yet because, as it turned out, something had come up at the front desk and the Whiskas were screaming at each other, and Miss Whiskas had blood streaming across her nightgown, arms, and legs. You're sick, she shouted at her husband with tears bleeding through her mascara. I won't press charges, she said immediately to Maurice, who was attempting to meditate. Do you want to call the police, ma'am? He asked, standing between them. Go ahead, spat Mr. Whiskas. Then to his wife, wait until they see how you almost OD'd on Xanax. And what's your blood alcohol level? Try it. See if they believe you. What happened? I asked Ned, but with his meek presence and quiet voice, he barely got a word in. Mrs. Whiskas stormed up to me. He put a dead bird in our room when I was asleep. She started, then stumbled in her high heels, twisting her ankle. Ugh. And covered me in its blood. She sat down on the floor and pulled off her heels. Call 911, I told Maurice. He stepped aside and made the call. Mr. Whiskas approached me, playing the part of the reasonable one. His breath reeked of tequila. She's not supposed to be upping her meds. I had nothing to do with. He's on testosterone replacement therapy. His wife shouted. I can't control him. They stick needles in his. You shut your mouth. You're lying. He stepped towards her, pointing a finger. There are my points and miles. My money, not yours. He turned again to me. I don't know what she's talking about. What bird? I'm a Diamond member here. I'm the one you're listening to. All I could do was stall until the cops showed up. Sir, I need to ask you to keep your distance from each other. Miss Wiskoski was beside herself. What bird? He put it there. He's trying to make me insane. Her husband removed his photogenic glasses and looked me in the eyes. I was gone all day. I had meetings and I hadn't even been in the room.